Hi, my name is Emily, and I have an Etsy store called Yesterday's Stash. I'm here today to show you my latest book. It's called A Lacy Day, and the reason is because I have taken every piece of lace, or no, a bunch of lace that I own, and have kind of done a quilting sort of process on the front. So there is just a number of different laces used in the book. I have a huge collection of lace, over 30 years collection, and washed it and clean so that it's stored in clean bins. And so I have just really come up with junk journaling in the past, say, 6 to 8 years, where I have found using this lace up can really be helpful and useful in destashing some of this lace. Much of this lace came from the old home place of my father's. That house, a lot of spinsters lived there. They were actually school teachers, and so when the house was disbanded, we had all kinds of lace to sort through and to give away. And so they've been sitting in my drawers. That was 30 years ago. So now you see what we have here is just all kinds of different laces. This is the way the book closes. It's with this silk kind of, it's coffee dyed ribbon that it's wrapped around twice. So the book itself is 9.5 by 6 inches this way and 3 inches that way. And what I did was I took, those louvered file folders, the brown ones that are, the thick brown cardboard or extra cardstock thickness is what I used, and I cut out the sides and have made it into a book with. And I thought the book was going to be hard to fill up because it was, because of the louvers. It's a little deceiving as to how much you can fit in the book, and it's turned out to be really a thick book. However, it only has, only 44 regular sheets, or times 2, 88, and 22 resume 13 or 32 pound paper. And this cardstock here that is a crafts paper is an 80 pound. So, and then I have, in addition to that, I have added small pages, or what we call inserts, or postcards, or different things like that, to more journaling pages. This is stationery that have made the book as thick as it is. So, but it's easy to work with because of the louvered ends. It will open up, and be easy to work with because of the louvered. There are about 38, not counting the book on the outside and on this side. The book has 38 inside laces. It also has 60 some tags. Many of the tags are made by me, and others are purchased. I am just have a lot of tag collections. I really enjoy making tags. This is from the wallpaper collection of Tim Holtz, and I did some eyelets and with some ribbon in between, or sari silk in between. Did some sewing on the end and put a light glitter finish. I use, here's an example of a kind of glitter that I use. It's a Mod Podge glitter, and it just adds extra stability to the pages and gives it a sealant. This is a store-bought. I bought this at a thrift store. I have a wonderful thrift store here in the area that I access. This is a collection of different kinds of wine pictures, and then an explanation about the wines on the back, which is just an interesting. I like to think that my journals can be a little bit not just inspirational, but also educational. This is a Tim Holtz he has several card collections, but this one is relatives, and that is what I have pulled that from. So it's Tim Holtz. And what I have done here is, during the virus, and we've been here at home and trying to organize and clean up. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to take a look at and you take time to do things that you hope to get to one day. And one of the things I wanted to get to for sure was to clean out my my stash area, to clean out it's an art area, and to make the book, to make books and have a more organized way of doing it. So I've done some organizing, and I have found things that I didn't know I had. But anyway, collaging on this side. On this side, I have, this is two separate sheets of paper that are joined together to make it sturdy and durable. These I bought at a thrift store. They're store-bought. They're those kind that flip off. If they have like, you pull them off, like you would a kind of a notebook. And then what I've done is I always use a distress ink on it, and do some coffee dyeing or tea staining on it. And then I always have an eyelet, and I have one of these bulb pens that go with the color of the, well, mostly blend or go with the color of the eyelet itself. So do some distressing around the edges, around the corners, that sort of thing. This is how I like to do to do my books. This is something that I bought new, and I don't know if you know about these, but they're called Thoughtfuls. And the first ones I found were in a used bookstore or craft thrift store. But then I realized that you can buy them. You can buy them online. Amazon has them, and I found them at our local cake shop or cupcake, Just Cakes, or the name of the cake store, and they sell these little things. But this is what they look like. You buy them like this. That one is called You Matter. It's 30 of these, and they're pop-open cards. You undo them here on the edges. So that is something that I try to include in most all of my cards or books. I find these cards to be just really, really nice. They're a nice thing to put on someone's desk if we ever get back to work. But that's how they come. It's $6.95, and it's called Compendium Live Inspired, is what it's called. But on the other side of the actual they're called Thoughtfuls. So I don't know how you can you can Google it and find it. All of my these are the resume, 32-pound resume quality, and it's not a smooth finish. It's got a little bit of a pattern to it that gives it durability and makes it easy to do journaling on. And all of my journaling pages have some sort of little collaging sort of art either at the top or the bottom. I love quotes, so you'll find a lot of quotes in my books. Then again, this right here is stationery that the thrift store that I go to just has so much old stationery and partially packaged boxes of stationery, greeting cards. And I find if I could just go through, I can find some really neat greeting cards that I will use. I have a real fetish or love of England and all things England. I've been there several times, wanted to go back this summer, but it's not going to happen because of the virus. But I collect pictures of the castles, and I have a whole file of different castles, and I'm really interested in British history and English history. This is on the Isle of Wight, and that's where Balmoral is, where the Queen goes. And this is called Karis Book Castle, and gives a little bit of history about it. And then you can journal on the back or whatever. And then seed books, seed catalogs. Those are always neat to put in books. This is actually a whole stack of bookmarks for advertising a garden sale. And it says here, if you have a garden in a library, you have everything you need. And I was able to take them and cut off the part that tells about the date and everything and turn that into a tag. This right here is where I found a half a dozen or so. That's the thing about thrift stores. You're not going to get the whole, batch. There's always going to be one or two or three or more things missing. But everything, it has a purpose. So this is a library card that I did some collaging on, and it's got the word potential here, and then I use it as an insert. You can take all of these out and use your, put your own insert, insert your own memorabilia or memory items. I call it the Lacy book because it's got so much lace in it. This particular one is from a calendar that I found that had a really nice finish on the pictures. And this is where I get into doing my crazy collaging. And this is from, this picture here is from a collection by Tsunami Rose. And then I just stack up my collaging with, this is washi tape, newsprint from a dictionary, fabric, a button, and a picture from Tsunami Rose that I have, made a collaging for. I found a really interesting collection at on the side of the road. There was a thrift store, and I was in the mood to stop on my travels along, and actually it was close to Northern Virginia. And this right here was a huge collection of stamps that a lady from the State Department had collected. All of the pages went to the State Department, something State Department. I could only see partially. But she collected stamps, and evidently they were collecting merchant or mail items from all kinds of different countries. This particular one is Ghana. And I just thought it was so neat to see, like, this is a 9-cent stamp. It cost Ghana 9 cents to send a package to the U.S. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And so I do include a lot of stamps into my books. This particular stamp here is one from New Zealand. This right here is another one of those library cards that I did some collaging on. And this is also a stamp book that I found of all the presidents. And the presidents, like this is John Adams, and it has a little bit of information about him and his presidency. James Madison, James Monroe, and George Washington. So got that in here. This is a bag that when I was in London, went to a Powell's bookstore, which is Foyle's is the name of the bookstore in London. So this bag, I had to keep it, and I ended up putting it in this book. This particular stamp is from Barcelona. Now that cost that person 26 cents to send it from Barcelona. And this is a set of postcards of insects that I've included in here. You can use the postcard, or you can, remove it and put something else in here. Lots of uses for these journals. You can use them as writing prompts. You can use the quotes as a writing prompt. You can use, you can, just put your own information, just a thought that you've had, maybe remembering a phone number or an address or there's so many uses for these books. So even though they're beautiful books to look at, and they have so much different, so many different ideas and things to look at, they also can be very functional for many other things, as for keepsakes, and for writing in, for just doodling. And these are some. These are Keep Calm and Love England. It's a card from a kit that I bought. This is, I printed this off the internet. It's a quote, and this one looks like it was purchased. Also, I always put some sort of, if it's not a good quality cardstock, then I will put some sort of backing on it that can be used for writing. I'm a book lover, and here are some book quotes that I found and downloaded on the internet. Again, these book quotes have the eyelets and the bulb pens. You can remove the bulb pens and use them for something else, or write on the back of the quote, or move the quote to another place, or use it as a bookmark. Love to collect artwork, and these are, I ran these off on photo quality copy, and this is a piece of artwork called Age of Innocence by Reynolds, date 1788, and this one is the Madonna, and it's by Raphael in 1505. Just interesting to note who some of our artists are out there from the years, and what type of work that they did. It's again, I'm in hopes that each book that I make have some sort of piece to them that you don't already know about. This right here is the Caldecott winners. It's books that have won a Caldecott honor, and Caldecott, Randolph Caldecott, was actually a fella that had a home in London, and I actually took a picture of the home when we were there, and he recommended books over the years that were children's books. And then this right here is another children's book it's by Lewis's little book that I found they are in the public domain pictures. This particular right here is wallpaper by a man named William Morris, who also was from Britain. I guess you can tell that I'm an England lover. But I'm trying to get the book. He wrote the book, or it's full color patterns. It's a torn and tattered book, but it's full color. And it tells about him, and it's all kinds of wallpaper patterns that he authored. He was very influential in the Victorian period. Name is William Morris, and I will put the ISBN of this book in so. Then right here is a little envelope that I found that has some little pieces of lavender in it that I have paper clipped here, and then here's this is something that I bought. Most of the material in these books I don't pay full price for. I do order from a lot of Etsy sellers, or I use, I will buy a book used to use and cut pages directly out of. And you try to follow copyright law, so I just use the original pages. So it's got to be a book that I'm willing to cut up. And but I'm a huge proponent of ordering pages from our Etsy sellers that they know how to do the graphic design or graphic work, and I don't know how to do that. So I find them to be just tremendously influential. But this right here is just an example of some of the lace. This is what we call ATC cards, and I found these at a thrift store, just a big stack of about 30, and they have the artwork, the trading card, inside this little plastic sleeve, and then it tells about the person that did the artwork. So it was pretty interesting and worth taking to share with and to put in the book. This is a great example of how you can take words. These words came from Tsunami Roads, and turn them into little collage inserts that you can add or attach to a page in a book. This is in Rome, and it just tells a little bit about the postcard. It's a postcard that has never been used, but it is an old postcard. Let's see, it's called the Appian Way. I don't have a date for when this postcard was done. This is a neat set of comics that are basically giving manners, etiquette instructions to young children. This one says, "Determination helps us to give our best in all we do." And I also have quite a few doilies, and I've included this one. This sheet came from Tsunami Rose. She has a huge collection. I don't know which one of the collections, but it's so brilliant, and I just love using these pages. This is a roll of washi tape stamps, and this is the first insert, or the second insert. This book has 4 signatures, and I'm on to the second one now. And the inside of the signature, I have put a key and a picture of something from Graphic 45. So in the middle of this one, let's see if I can find the middle. I skipped over that. In the middle of this one, I have a set of leaves, combining them together. These are library cards. Well, I live in a university town, and I live in it's called the Triangle area of North Carolina, and there's like 10 universities close by, or colleges, universities or college or law schools or whatever. And so I have, through this thrift store, had a tremendous collection of these Library of Congress, or the way that they identify the books through the card catalog. So I have did a little collaging design on one, and then I have included a half a dozen or so of those in here that you can do your collaging on. It's really interesting. All of them that I picked up, I didn't have any idea. All of them that I picked up are in the art, from the art section. So anyway, that's in here in this envelope where I tucked it in there. This particular is another plaza in Rome. Here's another example of where you can buy at used bookstores. This is a Games Room book of teasers. And what this is I got it for $1, you can see here. And it is a huge digest of brain teaser questions. So I have, let me just put a couple of more in there. I have put a handful of these right here, and it was just a fun thing to ask people, you know, kind of brain teaser kinds of questions to make a person think a little bit. This right here is another one of 2 more of these castles that I have found pictures of and printed out. And they're all in England. England, it has just an enormous number of castles that are, many of them are through a historic society, and they aim to turn them into destination wedding facilities, bed and breakfast or hotels, or gardens or they have festivals there, horse riding, stables, everything. I have about a half a dozen or more little charms in this book, and here's one that I've included here. I've just tacked it around the paper clip from the page before, This is another one of William Morris's patterns. This is another little charm. This is a crazy page. What I did was, I don't know where that goes. What I did was I took a piece of fabric and I did some playing around with the texture of the fabric through yarn. I actually zigzagged yarn throughout it, and it turned out unique and kind of quirky, you know, whatever. So I included this charm of an artist palette. And this is because we have so many libraries, they all have these different events at night. And this is a library send out that they would, you know, kind of like in a postcard, don't forget, come to this event, that type of thing. And so I've got hundreds of these, so I thought that I would make sure to include some of them in here. Here's another where I did some collaging. These are more handmade. I love to make handmade tags. They come out of magazines where the picture looks good for it. This is actually where I took newspaper or dictionary pages and glued them in between pieces of lace, and then did a Mod Podge on the outside. And this is an actual guest check. No, it's actually a bridge card. Keep your score, bridge scorecard. And they had some of them over there at the thrift store, and so I purchased them for next to nothing, and have been playing around with ways to use them. This is a piece of glassine, and what I do with this glassine is I put it through a coffee or a tea, and it always comes out with like a little bit of a pattern on it. No matter, it doesn't come out just one smooth color. It kind of has a little pattern to the stain. These are from old magazines that I collect, and they are advertisements that come out of these old magazines. It's really interesting the way here we go. Fit, style, comfort, durability. 4 million women are today wearing Dr. Warner's Coraline corsets. Are you? And this was from probably early 1900s. So just real interesting. Here's another little charm that I've added up here with one of those bulb pins. I can't have a page without beautiful ladies. So I have a collection of coffee dyed pages where with pictures of beautiful women that can be used for writing on the back. This is actual, both of these are, this is something I bought new. It's corrugated paper, but it's not corrugated on both sides. You see the open side. I've done many removing one side of the corrugation and so forth. But I ended up buying these because I just thought it would be interesting to work with. Here's two of the tremendous collection of stationery that comes from those used bookstores. They're always nicely boxed, and they haven't been used or touched, or they still look fresh and clean. This is a travel set that I purchased from an Etsy seller. Don't know exactly which one right now, but this is the other side of that glassine paper. This right here is a charm of a women's dress. Found lots of charms at the used bookstore. This is an interesting box of stationery. It's a keep calm and carry on open stationery. You can use it, you can leave it in here, you can take it out and actually use it. And what I did here was I have a collage of different trims and fabrics that I just sewed together to make this pocket. Here is a charm of a fan. Here's a charm of I think this is a book. I wasn't sure what this was. And this is getting into the last signature now. These are Regency Women Fashions from Tsunami Rose. I know that that's called Regency because I love Jane Austen, and I can't have a book without Jane Austen materials in it, or something Jane Austen in it. And so I purchased this paper from her website. Here's another set of birds from a kit that I bought from an Etsy seller. And some more writing pages. This is a bill from 1922, and I've just enclosed a little doily in here that you could use for a project or take out and use. We were going to go here. We were going to go to the White Cliffs of Dover this summer when we were going to go to England, and this was one of the areas that I wanted to see, was these White Cliffs of Dover. It's just a real beautiful picture of them. Maybe next year, if things get better with the coronavirus. This is a Kate Greenway, Greenway, and this is an umbrella charm, and that's it. What I did with this book here is I did for the back, I heat and bonded this fabric to the spine because it was a nice blend of the two. And then it has lace on the back, and then this is an actual fabric that is a textured sort of a fabric. So again, you can see all the different kinds of lace that are included in this book. So again, this book will be for sale in my Etsy store. I appreciate your coming along with the journey I'm on here with making my junk journals. It's just really been a fun, an actual wonderful way to use materials and to come up with these creations of these books. This happens to be an extra thick one, and I think if you take out all of the extra weight or thickness that I've added with all of these 38, 40 some tags, 60 tags, that it will do a lot to. So this is a book that I hope that a person can use in progress or in process. Use the materials for something else. Use the pages for jotting down important things or memorabilia. Again, it's called A Lacy Day, Lacy, and my Etsy store is Yesterday's Stash. And I thank you for coming along, and we will talk again soon.